Morning, evening, day or night, candidates and kind ladies and gentlemen who quest or troll the wonderful land of YouTube. My name is Trollumbo, and welcome to, well, this is actually the first episode of a half a dozen, is what I like to call it, because it's a top 6 this time. Well, there will be 3 of them. 2 of them will be mine, 1 of them will be Metal's top 6. And Metal will be doing drummers. I will be starting the shit off with my top 6 guitarists. Yes. So, without further ado, let's get to number 6. Yes, number 6 on the list is a shared spot because I couldn't decide between 3 fucking guitar players. Yes. And you could say, maybe you should have done a top 12 then. Well, I could have done a top 12 guitarists, but then again, I would still have a hard time deciding which one to place above the other in this fucking case. Yeah. So, here they are. And I hope I don't butcher their names. So on the number 6 spot, we have 3 guitarists, and one of them is David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. Yes. And of some solo work as well, because most of these guitarists also have their solo work. Second one on number 6 is Steve Hackett from Genesis, and also, well, he also has solo albums. Then we have, I hope I don't butcher his name, Steve Howe from Yes. The band Yes. So not just saying yes. Well, there's something quite similar in some of their guitar works, because both Hackett and Howe have their somewhat more classical guitar style as well. They add in some medieval undertones from time to time as well. So yeah, there's something special that you have there. If you look at Steve Howe, if you look at the song Roundabout by Yes, the intro, well, that has some special undertones. And then you have Starship Troopers song where you have something that sounds a little bit country, which is also a cool thing. So there's a huge variety in their styles. There's somewhat eclectic guitar styles. And you have that with David Gilmour as well. If you compare him to the other 2, you have somewhat less of that really classical guitar style or the country thing. You have somewhat more of the blues influenced guitar. Well, and obviously Pink Floyd is space rock, so you have that as well, like the long solos with the short bursts and then long notes. And you can see that with Steve Hackett as well, so there's some similarity, there's some what of a cross-contamination there between the styles. I wouldn't even know what to call it. If you look at, for example, the solo in the Third of Fifth, when it comes to Genesis, well, you can also hear some of the elongated notes in there as well. So there are some similarities between these guitarists, and I didn't know which one to place above the other. But that being said, let's move on to number 5. On number 5, I placed Eric Clapton. I was thinking about putting B.B. King in there as well. Then it was like, yeah, B.B. King is a really good guitarist, but technically, Eric Clapton is better. He has better technique. But when it comes to emoting overall, I think B.B. King is better. But Eric Clapton comes so close that I decided to give him the spot because of this. Yes, he's one of my favorite blues guitarists. He has some of that like edgier, rougher stuff in there as well, like the more modern blues. But he keeps true to the form, where other guitarists, like for example Gary Moore, sound too hard rock for me, even in their bluesy songs. So yeah, I have to say there's a lot more emotion Eric Clapton's playing than, for example, Gary Moore, to keep that comparison up. And yeah, he has some great solos. I especially love his album where he does a lot of Robert Johnson's songs. The album is called Me and Mr. Johnson. It's a really good album if you want to check that out. So, moving on to number 4 now. Speaking of Robert Johnson, I wanted to include one of the people who kind of revolutionized guitar playing. So I included Robert Johnson in this list as well. Like, above Eric Clapton, because, well, he kind of originated how blues was played after that. He kind of invented some of the staples in the blues genre. So yeah, I had to include him and had to give him a high ranking entry on this list, especially since its guitar playing sounds like two people are playing guitar at the same time. So yeah, that's also some awesome technique there. What more can I say? On the number 3 spot, I included two unique guitarists, and I couldn't decide yet again which one I would place on the on this list, so I included them both. And they have differing styles this time. I've placed Tom Morello, yeah, the guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, and I think he was also the guitarist for Audioslave. On the same spot, I've included Robert Fripp from King Crimson, and he also did some of his solo work. I liked this album called Exposure, like his solo album as well, and I liked a lot of King Crimson stuff, especially in the Court of the Crimson King, which is a really good album. So the thing about their styles is, when you look at Morello, he includes a lot of the more noisy things, but makes them harmonize nicely musically as well. So he does some of the weird things, like unplugging his guitar and using the hum that creates as something in a solo. He uses the pitch bend effect a lot, and he's one of the guys that uses that effect the best. So I had to include him for that. If not only for that, I've included him for what is technical style of guitar playing as well. He doesn't just make noise, he also plays the guitar quite well. Apart from that, I've included Robert Fripp because he also has his very own technique, and he has the Frippertronics as well, where he uses he creates layers of guitar playing. He did that with old recorders, like he recorded stuff and then recorded something over that and recorded something over that as well, where you have like the elongated notes and then you have like a pattern going over that and then you have something else yet going over that as well. So he created intricate layers of guitar playing, and that made for a nice ambient sound as well that you can hear, especially in his Exposure album. So check that out. We're gonna move on to number 2. And at number 2 we got somebody of Deep Purple and Rainbow fame. Yes, it's Ritchie Blackmore. Despite how you might feel about his personality, some people call him a douchebag, his guitar playing is really good. Yes, he's a really good technical neoclassical guitar style. It's not really as... I'd say that it's somewhat less technical than Yngwie Malmsteen, but I did not include Malmsteen because, well, while he has a lot of really good songs as well, and where he has a lot of songs that I would call just technical fuckery, some of the songs he has are also quite good when it comes to songwriting. He doesn't, like, contrary to what some people believe, he doesn't just do technical fuckery. But then Ritchie Blackmore does it with more feeling, if you ask me. He plays with a lot more feeling. That's one of the main reasons why I chose to include this neoclassical guitarist. He's just one of my favorites when it comes to that style of playing. Yes, well, you have a lot of nice riffs when it comes to Deep Purple as well. Not that he's the only good factor about Deep Purple, because that's an all-round good band if you ask me. Moving on to number 1, and well, I had a lot of problems deciding a number 1, so there's another shared position at number 1. And these guitarists are somewhat similar, but not fully. They have in common that they have a rockabilly base when it comes to guitar playing. But their way of playing is quite different because it's kind of a psychobilly rockabilly vibe against like more neo-rockabilly to the more traditional style. And I'm talking about Brian Setzer and Reverend Horton Heat. Yes. And both have very varying styles, because rockabilly is basically a combination of rock and roll and hillbilly, where it's like a country vibe that's added to rock and roll music. Yeah, so they have the same bass influences to some extent, I would suppose, but their guitar playing style is somewhat different because there's a punk vibe to the drums, which, if you know about music, your one instrument will obviously influence the way another instrument is played, so you can see that their style is somewhat different. And yeah, there are some somewhat country-based songs in both Guitarists' repertoire, so they have a large variety of songs, if you ask me. And, well, they also have a very eclectic style, both of them. And that's something that makes a guitarist great. If you can excel in one style, that's great, but if you can excel in two styles and kind of mix them as well, then that's even better. So yeah. And when it comes to the style, it's just something that speaks to me more, because it's more unpredictable than let's say, metal or any type of guitar genre. Yeah, I don't know why, there is just something unpredictable. And if I would say, like, check out some solos of this guitarist, it's really hard. I like the Stray Cat Strut solo when it comes to Brian Setzer, but there's a lot of other ones that I really like as well. I just like the overall guitar playing in Baby Take a Chance on Love as well, for Brian Setzer. And when it comes to Reverend Horton Heat, I really like Galaxy 500 when it comes to the guitar solo. And, well, a lot of the aesthetics of the song as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to check out there. So I'll leave you to it. And I'll be back with my top 6 singers, and Metal will be back the same day with his top 6 drummers. No bassists, sorry, no love for the bassists today. Might do that at one point, but not today.
Thanks for watching our video. Did you like that video? Don't forget to like it if you like it. And if you don't like it as well. Leave a comment and share the video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and be real, Lolzosaurus. See you in the next video.